And welcome back to the Other 40s Fitness Podcast. My name's Tristan Lowe. Here we are, late December 2024. And I've got my good friend and guest back, Marc Finney. How you doing, Marc?
Top man.
Good to see you.
Really good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Again.
greetings, yeah. Well, you came to see us back in best part of a year ago, Marc.
Yeah.
And we did a podcast talk on Marc's ex-profession as head of strength and conditioning in rugby, and how he's that transition has led you to become a trainer. And of course, a year's gone by, and we've stayed in touch over that year. And I see now you've grown even, not metaphorically, physically, but actually the business-wise, and your services have grown.
Yeah.
And things have moved on. But we're here now in about a week before Christmas, and things have changed. Certainly with my body. I don't know about yours. So let's start. Okay. So what's happened as far as your own training is going for your own body in the last 12 months?
Well, I think you know as well as I do, as you're in your 40s, 50s, your goals shift a little bit as well, don't they?
Yeah.
I think I was the same as you when you were footballing. As a younger guy, when your recovery wasn't as diminished, shall we say, you had a lot less responsibilities on your plate.
Yeah.
You could play football back to back Saturdays, Sundays,
Yeah.
And go on a night out.
And then go a night out.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, as we're getting older, there's definitely more of a shift in terms of what you think the most important things are. But I still train and try and train all the physical qualities that I did back then, but probably have to adjust and modify the variables a little bit more these days. And the emphasis on recovery is far greater. And that's something that I try and do with my clients as well.
Give us an example. When you say recovery, do you mean recovery as in, we're going to talk a little bit technical here. Is it you're from the nervous system point of view, or just the muscles, sore muscles, or recovery as in you need to spend a day training with compound lifts, and then it's 2 days of eating and sleeping? What is it?
Well, I think what you just said there, the big two. I think there has to be a greater emphasis on the quality and the quantity of your sleep, but also that you've got your nutrition dialed in as well.
Yeah.
Go back to when you were in your 20s, you could skip meals.
Yeah.
You would have no awareness of those things. You've still run through brick walls, and your body would recover, and you come back for more.
Yeah.
Is it the right thing to do? No, it wasn't ideal, but you could still get away with it.
Yeah.
If you did that now, you'd
Like
be written off for days.
Yeah.
You'd fall to pieces, right? So I feel that those big recovery modalities like sleep is so crucial now.
Yeah.
I was fortunate when I worked in elite sport. We brought some experts in. Nick Littlehales was a guy that came in, and if you've never looked at his stuff, is amazing. He looks at sleep as in sleep cycles. One sleep cycle being 90 minutes, like the number of minutes in a football game. It's easy to remember. And getting 5 sleep cycles, so around about 7.5, 8 hours, that's what it equates to.
Yeah.
But trying to be fixated, I'm just getting 8 to 9 hours, and you know what it's like running a business.
Yeah.
You're up early at it, and then absolutely. So
what do you get a night roughly?
well, I'm pretty consistent. 10:30 is probably my cut-off.
Yeah.
And
is it lights out at 10:30?
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah. And then good sleep, and then I'm up at 6:15.
Yeah, that's not bad going.
Hydrate straight away.
Your children are grown now. You've not got they're not babies. They're teenagers now,
That's
so
right,
they're not getting you up throughout the night.
So that broken, fragmented sleep that really disrupts that deep sleep, that you get the quality of your sleep, that's far better now.
Yeah.
Excellent. So huge emphasis on that. So they're probably your more passive recovery things. But probably that is the biggest, most important thing for your recovery machinery, is that you've got good sleep hygiene, so your preparation to sleep, and then getting good quality sleep, and then the routine is fairly consistent as well. You don't want to be laying into, like this was the advice from the experts, right, about being consistent with your bedtime and your wake up time, so you don't get that big disruption in your sort of body's biorhythms, your circadian rhythm. Then hydrate first thing in the morning and get moving.
Be surprised how many people, I don't know, I know client wise, I don't know trainer or therapist wise, but certainly client don't hydrate in the morning. They might have a tea or a coffee, and technically it's got water in it. But I've trained some people who have lost weight, lost body fat, sort of improved their sleep, changed their physiological shape, but still the thought of getting up and within half an hour of getting up in the morning to drink that pint of water or drink that electrolytes, no, they have their tea or coffee, they go to work, and then it's a tea or coffee again. They won't drink a glass of water unless it's the middle of summer and you're sort of forced to. until they come training at 5, 6 o'clock at night, and then we pour out the water for them. So the hydrating in the morning, it's something that is the simplest, easiest and cheapest thing to do, and yet it's very often neglected.
Oh my God.
And by extension, I can imagine that there are, worldwide over, trainers and therapists who don't actually properly hydrate in the morning. It's just the espresso or the cappuccino or the...
On the adrenal gland, straight away, straight in heart rate increase.
I mean, I have a coffee every morning, but the glass of water comes after, or a pint after.
Right.
All right, so you mentioned, and when Mark says sleep hygiene, I think that's a very good way to word it for ourselves and clients. I think about sleep hygiene is, it's in the title, what we do before we go to bed and what we do when we get up. I think there's the bookend either side of it. It's not just, because I'm a 6.5 hour man, 6.5 hours.
Yeah.
Last night was actually 5.5. I went to bed late, but ordinarily it's 6.5 for me, unbroken. Sometimes it might break, if I've drunk a load of water before I go to bed, I get up to use the job, but generally. But sleep hygiene and those little things like the routine of clean sheets on the bed, the routine of turning the lights off, little things as well. This might be all in my head. On the rare occasion I don't brush my teeth before I go to bed. It has happened, maybe once every month or two.
Okay.
For some, it might be that I don't sleep well that night, and I've thought because the taste and the smell of the food is still around your mouth. That's my sleep hygiene. Washing my hands properly, scrubbing my teeth properly, and flossing before I go to bed. And I think there's that parasympathetic nerve way of winding down before we hit the sack.
Totally.
And of course, the other side of the sleep hygiene, when you wake up, we know it's up, move around, lights on, water, tea, coffee. So we should have that side that we do before we go to sleep. And one of the biggest problems, Mark, I think nowadays, I'm guilty of it myself, is the iPhone. It's the phone, and it's so
screen doom scrolling.
What do you call that?
Doom scrolling.
Doom scrolling.
I'm stealing that from somebody else. But getting daylight, and it's hard, obviously. The winter solstice now. It's dark in the morning. So and it continues to be these dark mornings until we come through. But getting day, so having the lamp in the morning. When I come into the kitchen in the morning, we've got the lamp comes on. It's just sending that message to your brain. It's white. White light. It's the kids don't like it.
Because it works.
But it's sending that message, isn't it, into the brain, and it's releasing the right hormone. So at night time, melatonin in the morning. Is it dopamine in the morning? What is it? What's the wake up hormone? Serotonin. So that's So waking your body up. But having that routine, mate, is really important to me. Water. Hydrating in the morning, I go for a hot water with some lemon and a pinch of salt. Just a little bit of Himalayan salt in, just to get some natural electrolytes in. And then I'm sipping water. Breakfast, really key for me. But getting movement in, waking the body up. So I do a few primal movements in the morning, dead simple stuff. I'll do a little bit of mobility through my hips. I'll do a bit of pulling. A bit of push, I do a climb in my gym. Just up and down, just a couple of things.
You do it before the first client comes in?
Before I get that first session. There's normally a dog walk thrown in there, but 6:30 client or a 7 o'clock client throughout the week is pretty consistent. But I think as we're getting older, you become far more aware just how important that sleep is. And people come to see me, and that initial contact with a client, I ask those questions in my questionnaire. I'll ask about quality of sleep, how many hours, but what's the quality of sleep like? You're asking about mindset, sleep, you're asking about nutrition, but a lot of the time they'll say, my sleep is broken, I'm getting 4 or 5 hours. And you look at the profile, then stress levels high, and they wonder why they're carrying the belly fat. The high cortisol levels, and invariably, if you go and fix their sleep and you say, look, we need to, don't just come and see me about a training program. That's not the priority right now. Me adding more training in is more stress on the body. Whatever paraphernalia you use in your gym, whether it's a TRX, you're doing boxing, pad work, picking power bags up, lifting weights, stressing your body, it's still something for your body to have to cope with. When you're already highly stressed, your body's not going to want to unlock those fat stores. So let's work on getting our sleep better. And the research now is crazy about how the shift in your hormones, and all of a sudden your body is in more of a parasympathetic state, and you start to lose that body fat with a dialed in nutrition plan and building movement into your day. So I see it a lot, mate, and you'll see it with that, because now I'm 50, I attract 40, 50-year-old clients.
When was your 50? What month? When did you say?
August. Yeah, August.
Welcome to your 50s. Well, I was 54 last week.
Yeah.
And Mark knows I've been training since I was 11. I started in martial arts at 11 years of age, and here I am now 54.
You still feel good?
I still feel good. Yeah. I told you last month I had the flu.
Yeah.
And let's be clear, it wasn't man flu. This was flu that had hit a man. Yeah. Let's reverse those, and I'll tell you something, it wiped me out for a few days. It wiped me out for at least a week, and then the week after, I felt under the weather. And it's taken me another week and a half into another week to start recovering from it after being really unwell for a week and then unwell for a week. And actually what was interesting, Mark, at least for 5-6 days of that 2-week period, I slept like a log. I might have woken up a couple of times coughing, but generally, at one point, I was sleeping for 8-9 hours in a day. What happened is though, you start to get sore because there's no mobility in the body, and the blood flow isn't there. So while I caught up on a ton of sleep, it's offset by, mobility, and that brings me to my next subject. Age 54 now. I know that my mobility is better than most 54-year-old men, but compared to when I was 34, when I was still playing basketball or still. The mobility is less, and so I find that I could miss a meal, skip a meal. I could have a day where I don't eat as healthy as the day before or the day after. I think you can correct that almost instantly the same day. Not fix it, but course correct it within, or certainly by the next meal. Yeah. What you can't course correct and fix instantly is mobility. Yes, we can foam roll, stretch, go through a whole body mobility exercises like we do for ourselves and with clients, but I've found that that's the one thing, that ability to move forward, back, up, down, left, right, rotate, all different planes, is one of the factors that plays on my mind more than nutrition. Yeah. Because I know for myself, my nutrition's 90% good, but the mobility side, I have to keep at it all the time.
Totally. I'm the same. We're lucky that we have it built into our day a lot of the time, aren't we? Because we'll stretch, mobilise with clients a lot of the time, our demonstrations. But that's really important to me, that I can still walk the walk and talk the talk. I enjoy demonstrating, and I work with youngsters as well.
Yeah, I saw that.
So the youth athletic development stuff, I still pride myself in still being able to lateral shuffle, do the mechanics, do my jumps, do my landing, and still do that with good posture, good control. But mate, like you say, you've got to do it every day. I say to my clients that for a small investment every single day, and you could do 5 minutes, right? Or you could even break it up, morning, evening. The payoff is huge, in terms of your posture. And a lot of the guys are desk-based, aren't they? They're sat there, a lot of, or commuting. A lot of the time they're in this sort of kyphotic position, shoulders forward, keyboard warriors. And they think coming to the gym once a week is going to unlock it all. Yeah, sure. But every day, and I say you've got to treat it like personal hygiene, putting your deodorant on, brushing your teeth, looking after yourself, just opening up your thoracic spine, getting some rotation in, getting the hips unlocked, getting your ankles moving, and you can do that with 5 minutes. 5 minutes in the morning or 5 minutes in the night. And I, clients come and see me for an hour appointment. Yeah. So if I've got that person in front of me and I can see that they've been sat down, and that's one of my questions a lot of the time. I'll say, go on, and how long have you been sat down today? Oh, back-to-back meetings, I've done 4 on a bounce, and then
that's it,
this, that, and then they walk in with a gym kit, and I'm like, okay, let's get this guy moving. So a little bit of foam rolling, opening up the thoracic, and then the movements, I don't want to necessarily stick them on a bench and close the shoulder blades down. What pressing movements can we do with landmines, cables, get them twisting their thoracic and get them opening up through their lungs and their diaphragm. So it's all really inherently corrective. They don't know why they're doing it a lot of the time. I try and get them to do that, but I love the ski erg for the freedom of the shoulders.
You've got one of those, have you?
Yeah, I've got one of those.
I've used them. I like them in their simplicity. Concept 2 row stood up, basically.
That's it.
Maybe not as simple as that. I like them. I think it's a well-made piece of equipment. That ski erg. Is it Concept 2 that makes them? The main brand, If you look at them, you do see them in a lot of big gyms, leisure centres, private personal training centres as well. And when they first came around, how long have they been out though? When did they first hit
a few years now. They're very popular with CrossFit as well, aren't they?
Yeah, and this other one, High Rocks.
High Rocks, yes, I've got High Rocks in January. I'm having another crack at that. It's good fun, mate. It's good fun. Again, it just adds a bit of different, bit of diversity to my training. But I try I try and tick a few boxes in the week.
Which one's lacking? You've mentioned sleep. We talk about your sleep,
yeah.
Your sleep hygiene, your nutrition, your physical exercise, strength training, mobility. Let's put mobility and flexibility together.
Yeah.
Okay. Of those 4, okay, which ones do you need to work on?
Well, I'd always say strength is the bedrock of what I do.
Yeah.
And if I've only got a short window of time, I will strength train and do some muscle building. Like today, I only had 20 minutes this morning, and I had the choice: do I do some energy system work, some cardiovascular work, or am I going to? I did some push and some pull, and just did a little bit of mobility through my lower body.
Yeah.
So because strength to me is the foundation, it's the bedrock. Everything else builds on top of that.
I agree.
And I want to keep some muscle on my body because muscle it's an active tissue. It's your fat burning tissue. The more muscle you have on your body, invariably, the better your body composition is going to be.
Yeah.
And I'm going to quote other people that muscle is the tissue of longevity.
Yeah. Okay.
So again, hormonal changes and shifting as we get into our mid-30s, 40s, you know, our testosterone is on that steady decline in the same way, and sarcopenia, where we start to lose muscle mass. So 50s, that increases 60s, and before you know it, your grip strength's shit, you can't get up out of a chair, step ups, things like that.
It's actually quite that, and when you talk about something like grip strength and stepping up and getting out of the chair, I just want to go back 15 seconds for our viewers. Mark mentioned sarcopenia, Latin for disappearing flesh. Okay, and sarcopenia, there's a lot of evidence now, but it actually starts earlier in life. People, you've got to be 48 or 47 or whatever. No, sarcopenia can start earlier than that. And our viewers would know it as muscle wastage or muscle atrophy. But remember that sarcopenia, an age-related disappearance of flesh, soft tissue, okay, muscle, and you can delay that. We can't stop it. We can't live to 90 without any form of sarcopenia. It's part of a natural progression in the bodies. But that's something when you mentioned about the strength of those 4 different aspects. Whilst mobility is very important for me, I understand and try to, as best I can, educate clients. Strength is the foundation of almost everything. You could be, you know, I've trained people that are hypermobile. They can bend like a pretzel, okay, but their weakness is in that excessive flexibility of the joint. That laxity of the joint is their biggest friend if they're a gymnast at a young age. But as they get older, you've got to strengthen the body to counter that excessive elasticity of the body. Strength is the foundation, I think, of everything. You know, in conjunction with sleep, nutrition, mobility, flexibility. Okay, which one of those 4 then do you excel at almost naturally? If you could pick one that you excel.
That's a great question. I no longer chase the numbers in the same way that I used to. I think I touch on my strength levels throughout a cycle of training. I've got a training buddy. Have you got a training?
Not for sports, If I was to go trekking, climbing, and then in January surfing, But for actual strength training, I train on my own.
You train on your own. So I've got a mate that I train with. I train with Richard on a Sunday, which invariably is a lower body day, but we'll try and mix in different things.
Is Richard the guy that did the 100 press ups a day challenge?
Yeah, that's it.
So he's a fit guy.
He's a fit guy. Richard's in his late 40s, 48.
Okay, good.
And 48, I've just said that, but I might be doing a bit of disservice there.
Okay.
But another guy that really invests the time in his health and well-being. So we'll train together, and that's good because we're very similar in our sort of age and goals. But we'll still train some power, you know. And I think that is the most diminishing physical quality as we get older, because people look at me and go, "What? You're still doing box jumps with some of your?" Yeah, absolutely. We're still doing some form of medicine ball throw that's a bit more explosive, or a kettlebell swing, or a band assisted hop or something. So finding ways to still work on those elastic qualities, like you say, and the more sort of rate of force development. So me and Richard, you know, we still play around with some medicine balls, some box jumps. We try and take the gravity out of the situation, and we'll touch on it. You know, every now and then.
It's not a whole session. It's
absolutely.
Like a rugby player or a basketballer. Those guys in their 20s and 30s, in their prime for power. That's different, you know.
Because you can recover. You know, when you're in your 20s, you can keep going and keep hitting your body with that high stress, and your body will keep recovering. Now, I want to know that I've still got it in the tank. My condition, I want to know that if I had to still run a mile quickly. I've got it. So I do 1 run a week.
Yeah. If you've got to climb over the wall, you've got to run a mile. You've got to dodge a dog in the first thing. Actually,
if I've got to step up as a dad.
Yeah.
If somebody comes to my house, I don't want
knocking on the door.
knocking on my door. Yeah. Daughter's boyfriend or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
I want to know that I'm still capable.
Yeah.
You know, and I can still be the dad and be the role model and all those things. So touching still on those physical qualities, still training my energy systems, but not in the same way. And I try and use ways of managing the intensity. I use reps in reserve. Do you use reps in reserve?
No, what's that?
So reps in reserve is I'll share a document with you. I use that with my clients as well. I have a chart on my wall where it's a bit like an RPE scale. So your RPE scale when you're doing conditioning, you've got a Borg scale, right? Yeah. So a reps in reserve scale is based on your percentage of effort and 1 RM. Yeah. And you might select a weight and go on an incline chest press, and I'll say, well, how was that weight for you? Oh, how many more reps did you have in the tank? Gotcha. And if they say, mate, I've got another 5, 6 in there, it's a bit more of a heavier weight. Because I want to take you probably up to 75, 80% in here, until they say to me, I've probably got 1 or 2 left in the tank on that weight, Mark. That's good enough for me today, move on. So when I know that a 40, 50-year-old their recovery ability is somewhat compromised because we don't recover in the same way. Taking up to 80% is good enough. If I took them to 90% every time I see them,
finite,
it's too much.
It's just too much. You get that on spin bikes. If they're going for my clients in there, let's say mid-40s upwards, if they're doing a 500-metre row on the Concept 2, and I'll give them a 150, sub 150 time to do it in. And these aren't athletes, these are personal training clients.
Target,
It gets the heart rate up to 80, 85%. And so I always say to them when they finish, because they want to let go straight away, once they get past 500 metres, it's 151, 152, which is good for them. And they're not 6'4", they could be 5'10". So they're not getting they're not bringing the strokes down. And I've showed them, I've got on the rower and shown some of my clients, I'll match their time, but in far less strokes. I'll go for 26, 27 strokes a minute. Right. These guys are doing 35, 36 strokes a minute on a 64. So, I can sit back for longer. But I say to them, your heart rate goes through the air. I don't call it reps in reserve because it's not a rep, they're not moving away from A to B. But right, have 2-3 minutes rest now. Hydrate, foam roll, and then let's get on with it then. What do you think is we've got January in a week and a half from now, That's 2025 starts a week and a half from now or 2 weeks from now. We've got new clients through the door, men and women, short, tall, what have you. What do you think is the biggest concern of a new client in a consultation? What is their biggest concern, inhibition, fear, coming on as a new client who hasn't been referred from an existing client? So they're coming in green.
From their point of view, they're probably thinking, what's this personal trainer going to do with me? I think that they're going to be anxious, they're going to be a little bit worried. Is this going to be too tough? Am I going to be able to cope? Am I going to be able to connect? Because I think that's really important. I think the rapport that you build with the clients, is this individual going to understand my needs? I think if the consultation process has started over the phone or you have sent them a questionnaire, I think it plants a seed that actually this person is interested in what my goals are. They're interested in what my struggles and challenges have been for me to, get control of my health and well-being. If a guy turns up and he's 2 or 3 stone overweight, he wants to know that what it's like to live in a 45-year-old's body and be overweight and have those challenges, have the stresses of life, work that 9 to 5 job, come home, be present for your kids, do the homework, drive them here, there, and everywhere, that sort of stuff. All that chaos that's going on, but they're still trying to make time for this important thing, which is always in the back of their mind, my longevity, my mortality. Maybe a friend has had a health scare.
That's what I hear often.
Sort of stuff. So they're walking through the door with all these anxieties and maybe a few preconceived ideas that they're going to be presented with this super fit, jacked,
like on television.
Wallop gym buddy that looks amazing, male or female, and think they don't get me.
There's a disconnect.
There's a disconnect straight away. They don't know what.
Just from their misconceptions. I've often I've been a professional personal trainer now I'm in my 17th year now, and there's one thing that always is a constant, and that a personal trainer is not here to show to crack a whip and make you crawl out on your elbows, because they see that on TV or TikTok or YouTube, And I say to them, well, if that's the case, then buy a woolly hat, run around the block, and you will lose weight. Eventually, you'll lose weight. You'll get injured first, John, Dave, Carol, Nutra. Okay. And now with the advent of the social media pushed marketing for get thin, quick drugs and pharmaceuticals, some of which are above board, passed and legal. I wonder if at some point in the future, a client thinks, well, hang on, I'm going to go and spend time with Mark under Mark's guidance and care and profession for 6 months to a year, and it's going to cost me this in time, this in hard-earned money, this in blood, sweat and tears. Or guess what? I've just seen on TikTok, or I've just seen on YouTube, or a certain type of marketing that aimed at certain type of people of drugs. The obvious one at the moment being Ozempic. 15 years ago it was fat burners, guys walking around towns with pills, trying to get people to neck pills, and often those guys that would get people in big gyms, and not always bodybuilding gyms either. Sometimes it could be in a personal training centre. We don't do that at our centre. It's not that it's wrong, it's just not for us. And my way of looking at it is, unless you are pharmaceutically trained, you've gone and done your A-levels and then gone and done a PhD or a Master's in pharmacy, of which I've got 2 close friends who are qualified pharmacists. Unless you've done that, asking people to neck pills because it's got a picture on the front or whatever, I would question the trainer. I would question the trainer. Now, that doesn't mean that what they're doing is wrong, but I would ask them to name all the ingredients that have gone into that. And the probability is they can't. I can't name every single ingredient that goes into a protein supplement or even a creatine supplement, because there's other ingredients in a creatine supplement to actually make it last. They've got to pad it out somehow.
Fillers,
I do think though, at the moment though, people are, men and women equally, are becoming more aware of not wanting the quick fix, because they know themselves that if it's something that's really quick to fix, grand opening, grand closing, it's really quick to unfix and reverse it. Correct, I think time served in something, whether it be 12 weeks to get someone moving and mobile, or whether it be 6 months to a year, at the very least then that client is far more educated, your client, my client, in what not to do.
The behaviours.
Habits. Habits.
That's it.
What's a habit that your male clients, you've got a cohort of clients starting in January
6th.
Tell me about that.
So that's my Fit That Body Plan. So that's my 12-week online transformation plan, and that's exactly what Fit That Body Plan is. It's about giving them a new internal hard drive, if you like, sort of replacing the old habits and the behaviours that have got them out of shape and out of condition and in the situation that they're in. And then for that 12 weeks, we're embedding new habits, new behaviours, and a new way of doing it. And the key thing is just being relentlessly consistent with it, and that's what I'm there to coach them and support them through it. So I'm targeting those guys, people that are in their 40s, in their 50s, and even older. I've had inquiries from guys that are even older. It's never too late.
In their 60s.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the time they're former sports people as well. And they've been in great shape, and they know what that felt like, and then they've let things slip, and the belly fat's accumulated, and they want to get back on track. No, they don't want to go back to being a sports person necessarily, or be hitting PBs in the gym or anything like that.
Probability is they're not gonna.
No, absolutely, but they're concerned, and they've got the struggles and they've got the challenges, which we discuss in a lot of detail. And I then ascertain, you're the type of person I want to work with, I'm the right person to coach you, and then we get started. And that's where the coaching comes into it. So then it's about dialing in their nutrition. So not having the big gaps in their day. Not grabbing the snacks. Showing them a way where you can track your food, hit certain numbers that are realistic and sustainable, without it being some crazy faddy diet that they're trying to follow. No crazy gimmicky supplements or drugs or anything like that. It's about healthy eating, food first, and then building movement into your life. That might be finding hacks and ways that we can get bodyweight workouts in, or whatever time they've got available, because these are busy guys, right? They don't want to be spending hours and hours in the gym chained to a treadmill. They want to know a quick and most efficient way for them to strip the body of body fat and build some muscle,
It essentially elicit the most response.
Yeah.
From not minimal effort, but minimum time served.
Minimum effective dose. Not
the other way around.
Yeah, minimum effective dose. If you've got the luxury of spending more time, then the plan is appropriate for that. Yeah. But we're talking about guys that have got, stiff backs, or even they've had back surgery, hip replacements. I've got people asking me about knee replacements.
Yeah, same.
Shoulder arthritic joints. Mm-hmm. So they need to find ways that are appropriate to them. So going back to our idea, I'm not bashing young personal trainers, but how do they have that connection and empathy when they're saying, right, you've got to squat, deadlift, press, you've got to do high rocks type training because I know that works. Yes, it might do for your age group and your population.
Or maybe even that 1 in 10 client who's my age. They've got that one in 10 client who's mid-40s to mid-50s, naturally a good athlete, comes from a sporting background, they've not walked in 5 stone overweight, they've walked in 10 pounds overweight. That client, maybe that little, they call them outliers, where they have got a degree of power over that 10, 12 week period. Yeah. The reason that we talk about a 12-week period, when you say that your cohort of Fit Dad clients are coming in, I think to say to someone, when they think, 12 weeks of this, they say, listen, Christmas is over, you're going to start January, and by the end of March, the first quarter, because that resonates with them, especially if they're in business. Think the first quarter, there's going to be a noticeable change. It won't even be spring, because it's still in March, it can still be snowing in March. It won't even be full-blown spring, John, Dave, Mike. Yeah. And that first 12 weeks to make changes, noticeable changes in your life will be done out of the way. It's not a long time. Yeah. It's a long time to hold your breath. It's not a long time to make changes.
And they'll have blips, and that's where the support comes in. We have a private Facebook group, and there's the camaraderie going on there, and you'll know what that's like from being a sportsman as well. That's important, so celebrating the wins, celebrating the highs, being there for each other in the lows, picking each other up, because the willpower will dwindle, they will question things, they'll deviate off plan, but it's getting them back on plan again so they stay on track for the 12 weeks. Yeah. And that's where the support and the coaching comes in, and I really enjoy it. And we've had some terrific results. With the old program, it was 8 weeks. Yeah. But the first couple of weeks were a little bit fiddly. Yeah, you're getting your way around the app, you're trying to prep your food and doing these things, but that investment in time and being consistent with it is what's going to drive the results. So I get that first couple of weeks out of the way, then they've got another 10 weeks then, the 12-week plan where they can really nail it down. I'm pretty harsh. I'm not pestering them because they're busy, but I'm saying, okay, look, this is what you've got. These are your targets for the week. Yeah. Let's really go at it and be really ruthlessly consistent.
Yeah, specific with it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think what I've found with one of the when we take on a new client, and we're talking all the different elements of health and fitness and well-being, but let's talk about one that always starts again, especially this time, it's weight loss. Weight loss and or fat loss. Yeah. And often during a consultation phase, or sometimes maybe a week or two into the subsequent training, what we find is, you mentioned it earlier on, I'm busy in back-to-back meetings, and this. Well, I say, okay, well, you can't train while you're doing that meeting, John, Carol. You can't train in between the meetings because you're actually in your office with your staff and your colleagues. Yeah. You can't train while you're driving to work and driving back. What do you do when you get home at 5:30? I cook dinner. Okay, what time's dinner made? 6 o'clock, everyone sits down, one way or another. Dinner's finished when? 6:30. What are you doing between 6:30 and 10:30? Maybe even 9:30. They're scrolling, they're washing up, they're watching their favourite TV. And I'll say to them, what's more important? That box set on Amazon or Netflix or whatever channel it is, or your health? And it's going to be 100% they're going to say their health. I get sometimes, I can't train during the week because I've got husband, kids, wife, kids, catching up on work, homework, doing stuff for work the next day. Right then, I'll see you Saturday morning. I can't do Saturday morning. Why not? I go shopping. So from 8 a.m. till midday, John, Carol, you're food shopping non-stop for 4 hours, right? And what I do is I say to them, there comes a point when you say, there's a threshold of, I can't train at that time because insert reason. And after that, I actually don't want to train because that's human, when I had the flu, I didn't want to do my podcast for like nearly 3 weeks. It's not that I couldn't. I could have put the tripod up at home or at work and shot a video feeling like dreadful, but I actually didn't want to. So that goes back to a client. Some clients, it's not they can't, they actually don't want to. So it's working with them to get past that as well. What are you doing then? Okay, so the fact they come through the door, they've contacted you where you're based in Northampton. They've gone through some of that conversation with themselves already. They've done some of the work already. What do you think is the number one reason why someone doesn't train? Doesn't take on their training?
I think it's probably a multitude of reasons. I think knowledge. They get overwhelmed. They don't like the gym world. You know, they walk in, they see all the paraphernalia, and they don't know what to do. So they've got no structure. They've got no knowledge. They're frightened of hurting themselves. So there's definitely a fear factor. Fear of failure. Fear of starting and then going, actually, I've not committed to this. And then there's that mental.
They've joined the legislature for a year.
Absolutely.
A month later, they're gone.
Absolutely. So they're not pressing the button on it. They're not taking action because of those types of reasons. You know, they've got health anxiety. You know, what's this going to do to me? You know, and instead of sort of going, actually taking that first step and finding the right trainer and doing the right sort of exercises that are appropriate to them. Of course, if you just dive in at both feet and you start doing stuff that's not appropriate for you, you're going to hurt yourself.
You're gonna get hurt.
So having the right guidance from the start and being led and being coached properly and appropriately is a key thing. So there's all sorts of fear. I think
fear, anxiety, the unknowing. I've
time though, mate. Rarely does it come down to the finances side of thing. I think when you sort of say to them, really, you know,
what do you charge per hour? Actually, one-to-one in person with you.
We 1-to-1, 55.
Okay, we charge up in Lincoln because you're an hour out of London, yeah. You know, we're 3 hours from London now. We charge approximately £42. Per appointment. On the sports massage a little bit more, but personal training. Now, that's something when you mentioned it's the cost. It's not the cost. That's the least thing, the reason I hear about people training. Maybe one in 8, 1 in 9, 1 in 10 might say, oh, I'm a bit tight now. Can I come back in however long? We find a way.
There's always a way,
Right, I'll tell you what I've learned. I'm going to say more with the women clients, the women that I've trained, usually between the age of late 30s to even early 70s. Quite a wide bracket. One of their biggest fears or concerns, you mentioned it, injury, illness, I don't know what I'm doing, what if this is actually the people around them. When you mentioned about sleep hygiene, I think about, I'm going to say something to our viewers now, women and some men, but certainly women who want to lose weight and lose body fat and get themselves just better, in whichever element, okay? Apart from going through your fridge and cupboards at home, go through have a cull of your list of friends, work colleagues, family. Because I've heard on more than one occasion, enough for me to notice it and keep it in my mind, where one of the women that want to drastically change their life, over a space of time, one of their biggest negatives or naysayers are friends, work colleagues, or even family members.
Oh, what are you doing that for? That sort of thing.
I can actually think of this year, in 2024 alone, I've had 2 women that I've trained who've actually articulated that to me. One in detail, and one just mentioned it once or twice. And I've said, clear yourself of people that don't want you. They haven't got your well-being or your health at heart. Every single person you know, best friend, close friend, work colleague, associate, next door neighbour, family member, should want us to be healthy. And if we're unhealthy, they should want us to be healthier. What we're seeing is, I'm free to actually say this, it's my channel. One of the biggest things I've seen is grossly overweight women carrying excessive amounts of body fat and body weight, hang around and mix with grossly overweight women with excess amounts of body weight and body fat. Why do you think that is?
I guess that association, isn't it? We're the same. We connect. We have the same struggles. We have the same issues.
There's a crude phrase out there. I've heard it. You've probably heard it yourself. I'll say it. Misery loves company. It's a very, very crude, pessimistic, nihilistic way of looking at it. And I think it's easy to, there's probably a lot more softer, subtle way to actually describe that, okay? And if someone watches the channel, they can actually say to me, there's another way. And I'll use that myself in the future, because I'll read the room, depending on who's with me. I think it's less with men, from what I've trained. A guy sees his next door neighbour, or his best friend, or his work colleague, lose 1.5 stone, lose some fat off his face, get his belly down a little bit, wear a nice shirt, get a new short haircut, and that guy thinks, where do I sign up for that? I think so. A bloke doesn't think that's not fair. That's not fair that you've got healthy and fit. I think we're more inquisitive about it. Women may equally be inquisitive, but what I've heard and seen firsthand with women clients, they've said the biggest distractor they've had outside of the four walls is somebody at work or someone at home or the next door neighbour or colleague, and it's always a woman they know. So I've said to them, always be prepared for that. Don't go looking for it, but be prepared for it. You know, sleep hygiene you mentioned, food hygiene, training hygiene, people hygiene as well. You know, they call it in America crabs in the bucket.
Yeah, grabbing you down. Yeah, when you're trying to lift yourself up.
And I thought, again, that's almost, there's a bit of it, you can visualise that though, can't you? You can visualise a crab stopping the other crab from climbing out the bucket. Same thing. You know. And hopefully, if you do start exercising in 2025, you know, whether it be with Mark in Northampton, myself in Lincoln, and you can identify to yourself, not put it in writing, a group of people or an individual that won't have your health and well-being at heart, and they won't want you to get in shape and lose weight, and they'll find it an absurd thing you do. I'm not saying get rid of that person out of your life. I'm saying hold them at arm's length until you're ready to go back. Don't let people block you from moving forward in life. It's a very human thing to do. Even when someone's your friend.
Or your partner.
Your missus, your missus, your husband, boyfriend, girlfriend. I have seen though on many occasions where I've trained a guy and then his wife started exercising, whether it be with me or outside, and vice versa. I love that. I love hearing that.
Or training together is a great
Train together, tandem training.
Train together.
Do you have any tandem?
Yes, we do actually. We have little groups of girls that I see on a Saturday morning actually as well, and they absolutely love it. But I still train with Sue as well.
Your wife,
My wife, we still do training sessions together every now and then. And it's fun. It's absolutely fun. We enjoy it.
What's the flexibility like?
Awful.
Oh really?
Yeah, terrible.
I thought you were going to say she's really flexible.
No, she'll be the first person to admit it. But probably getting better because I mean she does her PT and things, but aerobically she's very fit. And she's really working on her strength now.
Is she?
Which is great to see. She's pushing the numbers up and feeling the benefits of it. So she's a great advocate of strength.
And she's a mother as well of your two children as well. So three children as well. So you think about it.
Busy girl.
So she's busy. On top of that, you know, she's also got the 3 kids to think about, and not just because it's Christmas, but all year round. As you have as well. It's different for the mum, though, isn't it? There are slight differences because they're the mum.
Absolutely.
What do you envisage then for? Let's talk about what do you think? You mentioned about young trainers. What as far as a trainer, we're not talking therapists, chiropractors, physiotherapists, sports massage therapists, holistic therapists. We're talking personal trainers. You mentioned young. What is a young trainer, years-wise, as far as you're concerned? Not time served, their age.
You're seeing people coming out of university, graduating, and then probably doing a short qualification, and they're on the gym floor. You know, very little skin in the game. Not a great toolbox, shall we say, of resources to because we're problem solvers. And we're there to serve, we're there to lead, and I'd just be cautious about going down that route and setting yourself up with a very young, inexperienced personal trainer. You know, they've got to get the skin in the game and they've got to earn the right, like we have, to be building that big client base. If they're getting results, then absolutely fantastic, and good luck to them. But they're probably attracting people of a similar age that they've got empathy with. But we know that a lot of the time our clients are that little bit older. They want to invest. I'm not going to say disposable income. I'm not going to say that. No such thing. It's about it's about putting that money where they want it, and looking after themselves. So matching the coach with the needs of the client is important. So that's why I probably work with people, unless they're coming to see me for a sports performance reason, where they're a lot younger than me, or they're broken because of an injury, which is kind of another sort of area of my expertise. But if it's probably more about lifestyle, it's about general population wanting to look good, move good, and increase their health span, not just their lifespan, their health span, how they feel in those sort of older years, then you've got to have some empathy there.
I'll play to a degree slightly devil's advocate on that. Let's say you've got a trainer and John or Jane, they're 24, fresh out of university, fresh out of diploma school, and now their foot is on the first ladder. I always say now you're qualified, so now you've got the entry level to start working. Yeah, you've not got the experience, you've just got. I'll say to my trainers and therapists, right, they spend 12 weeks around me. They do a placement for 12 weeks, okay, and they get to see what our clients look, talk, and sound like. They get to see how I articulate and enjoy my day with clients. And again, there's so many different personalities as well. So we're spinning plates, we're juggling, but with the same mindset. And I'll say to them, look, that bar upstairs, the bar alone, it weighs 20 kilos. Olympic bar 25, but whether 25-year-old John is stood next to that bar, that trainer, the bar still weighs 20 kilos, or 54-year-old Tristan's got the bar in his hand, it still weighs 20 kilos, yeah? So those things, they're the same. And I say, it's not the barbell, it's not the kettlebell, it's not the resistance band or the foam roller, it's how you present it and articulate it to that client. And equally, what is personal training? It's not showing someone how to do bicep curls. They can figure that out themselves.
Or counting reps or cheerleading.
And actually, I've done that where I've counted a rep with someone, and it matters and it doesn't matter. Personal training is remembering why that client's here, remembering that client's wife's name, husband's name, where they work, kid's name, what the dog's called, remembering what time of day they prefer to train. If they can't get that 8 a.m. slot and they can only train in the morning, I'll do what I can to give them a 9 a.m. slot and not a 5 p.m. You know why? Because they don't want to. They can, they don't want to. Okay, so that's a personal need for that client. We go down the line, I've mentioned to you many a time, we use Spotify music system in our centre. And I had clients this week, and only this week going in now, have clients wanting Christmas music. I'm sick of Mariah Carey. Well, it's not even my thing. I wanted Run DMC, Christmas in Hollis, from Die Hard.
Nice.
That's my kind of thing. It's listening to clients and understanding what makes them feel comfortable to come to the centre, to come to us, to give us their hard-earned time, money, and physical effort. It's not about, you lifted a 6 kilo kettlebell last week, this week it's a 9 kilo. We know that is the progression, the progressive overload. But a new trainer knows the word progressive overload because they've just looked at books about it for the last 3 or 2. A new trainer might not have the people skills.
Oh, totally, mate.
What about the uncomfortable?
I think that's when you don't realise that you're actually still incompetent, isn't it? What's that? Well, I can't remember what the scale's called.
What's that?
You're consciously competent or consciously incompetent. We used to see it with our interns when I worked at Northampton. They come in and they've spent 4 years, they've done masters, they've got all the theoretical, academic, but then you put them in front of a group of rugby players and say warm them up, and it's like, oh my God, and they go in the gym and they see what real life is like, how we bend and break the rules, of the physiology and the theoretical principles to achieve what we want to achieve, because the most important thing is getting these guys on the field. But presenting the director of rugby with as many of those individuals in the squad to be as fit and ready so they can select them. And you put these, like, really, you're not going to do this? You're not going to? No, we ain't got time for that. That would be a nice to do, but we're really focusing on the big rocks because we've got a game to recover from, and then we've got a game to prepare for.
You're not at school anymore.
It's what you're learning in the classroom a lot of the time doesn't really apply in the real world.
Right.
And you'll see that on the gym floor when you're doing with your personal training, the perfectly periodized plan, like you're saying, progressive overload. No, that person's walked in the gym, they've done back-to-back meetings, they're absolutely flat, and they're probably
they don't care
about you wanting to high-five yourself because they've done a PP that night. It's not about you, it's about what you're presented with. And there is the difference, I think, and that's when we need to be careful with the type of trainer that you select.
Let's go to the other book into that. When is a personal trainer too old? When would you think? Okay, are they? Is there such a thing as being? Let's say I recently had a client in this week who mentioned, that they were trying to stop at some point I think it was the father-in-law who was in his 90s from driving because he was becoming unsafe to himself and others.
Yes.
Okay, so at that point when it's clearly visible and that driver isn't compass mentis as the way they should be behind the wheel. Let's look at when is a trainer too old to train someone else?
That's a great. I don't know. Do you want to still be doing this? I've
got 4 years on me.
Yeah, you have got 4 years on me. I don't know that's the case. I think a lot of my mentors and the people that I respect, certainly from a strength and conditioning point of view, have still been training athletes well into their 60s, 70s and beyond. I think you only get better. Obviously your ability to probably physically demonstrate a lot of the stuff, and you know, that all changes, right? But your knowledge is there. You're growing through experience, and I don't think there is a limit.
The ability to manage our time and energy.
Absolutely. You probably shapeshift a little bit, and those clients will go with you on that journey. You'll no longer probably work with those young pups anymore, but I could see myself specialising in those guys that have had the hip replacements and the knee replacements, you know, that need the help and need the guidance from somebody that understands what's going on, from a rehab point of view, so that they're not doing the exercise that's going to set them back, you know. So I think experience is key.
There is a way of looking at it. If you're good enough, you're young enough, good enough. They see it in football. Equally, time served, experience on the good side of what we do and the bad side of what we do, knowing what not to do. That comes with time served. I'm okay for a trainer to be 24, 25 years of age, as long as they learn quick and they read the room. If they're in a big leisure centre, health club, you're going to have 20 girls running on treadmills at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m, the witching hour. You're going to have 40 guys, all with vests on, doing bicep curls. That is what you've got. That's where you work, that's where you train. You know, expect that in there. In a private scenario, private centre, private gym, remedial practice, you are going to get, I'm not going to say discerning, which means I've just said discerning. I'm going to say a more specific client who doesn't want to go and pound on a treadmill for an hour. I always say, go and join a leisure centre and run on the treadmill for an hour. You'll get achy knees, achy back, and you'll lose 2 pounds. Right, okay, look, we're coming into Christmas. Right, are you going to train yourself throughout Christmas?
Yeah, I normally do. It sounds terrible, isn't it? I'll do a session on Christmas Day.
I've done it many times. You feel good for it.
I do deadlift day. Normally see what I've got in the tank, but I've got some good photos from over the years of doing that. Earn my good feed. So I'll build it into the day.
What about so you've got your Fit Dad plan starting in March.
It's starting in Jan.
Starting in January till March. All right. One thing you can do for your own body in 2025. One thing you can do to progress your own physical health or fitness. What's it going to be?
Again, good question, mate. I'm going to chase that 200 deadlift again, I think.
200 key deadlift?
Yeah.
How many reps?
I think so. It's for a single.
1 rep max,
that'd be nice to touch that. Would be a good one.
I've
got that, no, just conventional. The High Rocks event, I'm doing that with a much younger guy. He's in his mid-30s. So we'll go and do that together. That'll be nice. Try and keep that under hour and 15. We did it as a relay.
Right.
4 guys, all similar ages, and so it'd be nice to do it as a pair.
Good day out.
So great day out in Manchester. So
in Manchester,
hoping for that.
It's kind of beginning to sneak in more than when we used to see CrossFit everywhere. I think CrossFit now, after 15, 20 years or whatever it is, people think, oh, that's where you go to get hurt. That's where you. I've always said, if you're a new sports massage therapist, or you're a new personal trainer, or physiotherapist, or chiropractor, open up your centre as close as you can to a CrossFit gym. You'll never be out of work. That's what they say. I can say that because I've heard the horror stories, and it's not a coincidence every time. In the same way, people don't want to go boxing; they don't want their brains rattled. So myself, fitness, put on about 7 pounds in weight.
Cool.
Just half a stone. So I'm still slim, still limber, lithe, I can and swim, but learn the basics of surfing.
Cool.
I think I'm still young enough and strong enough and fit enough to learn. It's just the skill, and the guy who's going to teach me how to do it, he's in his mid-30s. I see him regular enough. He's a good athlete, come from a martial arts background, now surfing background, and he's going to show me, yes, there's an element of strength and flexibility and mobility, but there's also an element of I'm doing this. There are the danger aspect, you want to come up from the wave, but I'm willing to learn and go through that process. And I think to myself, it's not so much a tick box. I'm going to look forward to the sporting, physical aspect of it. And plus, I like the water, So mine's surfing, and then October this year, I'm on foot for 2 weeks across China. So
awesome, Class.
And I'll keep you up on that. But there won't be any high climbs. There'll be 4 days in the mountains with 2 of my friends, and the other will bookend at either side, being in the cities, just to eat what we can. But I think 2025 is going to be a great year. I'm trying to move the podcast to 100 episodes. This is episode 79, I think, Mark.
Okay, brilliant.
There's a lot to go, a lot more people to see, but I'm interested. I'd like to sort of keep in touch with you over the next 12 weeks about how that plan's doing for those guys.
Cool.
And just link it and whatnot. So just tell our viewers where they can find you. Give away the websites, the email addresses.
So on my socials, Finney Training, you can search that on Instagram, and Facebook, or look for me, Marc Finney, on Facebook, and I'll crop up. It's Mark with a C.
Yeah.
And you'll see my ugly mug on there. Talking about Fit That Body Plan quite a bit at the moment. So,
okay. Yeah. If you're a man out there, you haven't got to be in Northampton, you could be anywhere in the UK. Get in touch with this guy. He's got some very, very good ideas and experience in training. And Mark has got enough about him to be I can tell you from experience, to be able to handle different personalities, different wants and needs, but with the mindset of get better. We're not going to learn how to backflip, so we're not going to be in the next Marvel movie. We can just get better. And if better is losing weight, losing some body fat, becoming more flexible, sleeping better, eating better, and actually, let's be honest, even dressing better. I've trained men that have lost considerable amount of weight, and then I've seen them, they start to come in with neater haircuts. Nice. The facial, if they've got a beard or moustache, it's neater. They start cleaning their car more. It's systemic.
The confidence increase.
And so, all right then, where we are then. This is our Christmas podcast, and I've had a good year myself. Travelled to Japan, wore myself out, blisters all over my feet. Got through a bout of flu. I've had a whack on my elbow, whack on my head. I've had sore legs from leg training with long thin legs like myself. It's taken a lot out of me. I've met some fantastic people this year in personal training, men and women, young and old. I've actually trained more younger people this year than I have done all previous. Come from sports, they've come from sporting backgrounds, and I look at them and think, you're the future. They're the future, hopefully. Okay, so one thing I always like to do at the end of a podcast interview, I've asked you before, what's your go-to movie for Christmas?
Or the kids will decide that we're going to watch Scrooged on Christmas Eve.
Is that with Bill Murray?
Yeah, the classic. Yeah.
Fun fact, I had a client say that's their least favourite Christmas movie, and I said that is a classic Bill Murray.
Classic, yeah, absolutely.
My
Elf as well, they love Elf.
Will Ferrell. Yeah. Okay, and that's because you've got kids, but those films are fun anyhow. Yeah. I like Bill Murray. Yeah. Okay, mine, I've got two Christmas movies, and that's Die Hard.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say
It is a Christmas movie. Yeah. I was there when Die Hard came out in 1988. Was it 88 or 86? I think it was 86. I was there at the cinema on Leicester Square. Yeah. It's still a Christmas movie now. Okay. Nakatomi Plaza, Run DMC. That's it. Okay, and my other Christmas movie,
Alan Rickman's
Hans Gruber, is one from about 12, 13 years ago. The director, Robert Zemeckis, made a motion capture remake of A Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey, Bob Hoskins, and a few other names. It's a fantastic movie, well made. The guy who made Polar Express and whatnot. Yes. Robert Zemeckis and Gremlins back in the day. Yeah, Christmas Carol, but his version of it, the mocap.
He was involved in Back to the Future as well, wasn't he?
He was, that's right. Good call. You're showing your age now.
Yeah, well, that's my favourite film.
Okay, what's your the trilogy?
Back
Martin McFly. What's your pet peeve or pet dislike over the Christmas period? Have you got one?
No, not really.
I'll give you mine, and it'll give you a wiggle going bit. Right, I don't do this. I've got, blokes parading around town in Christmas jumpers.
Okay.
Thinking, look at me, I'm a cheeky chappy, aren't I funny? And I think, okay, good luck with that. Blokes going out on drinking sessions in groups, grown men, not little toddlers or teenagers, men in their 30s to 70s, walking around in matching Christmas jumpers thinking, aren't I? Yeah. And I think, I'm showing my pessimistic Scrooge, almost Dickensian hate of it. Yeah. And I just think, not for me, folks.
Not for me, pal.
That's my pet peeve at Christmas. Yours? Anything one? No,
not really. I'm pretty good with the Christmas.
Are you gonna have a drink over the Christmas period?
Yeah, I'll have one or two. Nice bottle of wine on Christmas Day. Share that with the in-laws.
Red wine, white wine.
Probably white with turkey.
I don't drink wine.
I'm a port.
Oh yeah, port. Yeah, I've never had one.
Have you not?
No, I've never had port.
A client bought me a nice bottle of 10-year-old port today.
So, gotcha. Nice. We like that client. I'm gonna have a pint of Guinness.
Excellent.
Yeah, I've been not had a drink for nearly 6 weeks now, but I'm looking forward to a pint of Guinness at Christmas just to get that. Just to weigh me down for a half an hour or something like that. Other than that, I'll train as well. I normally go in the sea over Christmas period, Andy Creek in Lincolnshire. If I'm still feeling a bit under weather, I won't do, but otherwise I'll get in the freezing water. It starts my year right mentally and physically, So, Mark, it's been a pleasure, sir.
Top man.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, okay, well, let's look forward to 2025. My name's Tristan Lowe. It's the Over 40s Fitness podcast with Tristan Lowe. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and look us up in Lincoln, Good Condition Fitness and Remedial Centre. And until then, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and stay in good condition. And look out Marc Finney, and we'll help you get in good shape.